Today, we're diving into liberalism, one of the most influential political ideologies out there.
Yeah, it's shaped so much of our world. So, where should we start?
Well, let's start with what liberalism actually is. It's a political ideology that emphasizes individual rights and freedoms, democracy, and the rule of law.
So, it's about people having the freedom to make their own choices?
Exactly. Individual liberty is at the core. But it's evolved over time, and there are different forms like classical liberalism, social liberalism, and neoliberalism.
I didn't realize there were so many variations.
Yeah, it's like a tree with many branches,
Ah,
all rooted in the same principles but growing in different directions.
that's a great way to put it. So, how did liberalism begin?
Well, it all started during the Enlightenment in the 17th and 18th centuries. Thinkers like John Locke and Montesquieu promoted ideas of personal liberty and limited government.
Right.
They believed in natural rights that everyone is born with.
Natural rights like life, liberty, and property?
Exactly. Rights that are inherent to all people. And these ideas, they fueled significant revolutions.
You mean the American and French revolutions?
Yes, those events were heavily influenced by liberal thought. It's like they lit a spark that ignited change across the world.
Yeah. Then in the 19th century, things shifted with industrialization?
Exactly. Industrialization led to economic liberalism, focusing on free markets and minimal government intervention. Think of Adam Smith and his invisible hand guiding economies.
But wasn't there a backlash to that in the 20th century?
Yes, precisely. The Great Depression and World Wars highlighted flaws in unregulated markets. This led to social liberalism, advocating for government support in welfare and social justice.
So policies like the New Deal emerged?
Exactly. Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal was about balancing individual freedoms with government assistance. It's like providing a safety net when the tightrope gets shaky.
Nice analogy. But wait, doesn't too much government intervention go against the idea of limited government in liberalism?
That's a great point. It might seem contradictory, but social liberalism argues that government action can enhance individual freedoms by creating equal opportunities.
I see. So neoliberalism is another turn in the ideology?
Yes. Neoliberalism in the late 20th century advocated for global free markets, deregulation, and privatization. Leaders like Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan were key figures.
But isn't neoliberalism often criticized for increasing inequality?
Exactly. While it promotes economic growth, it can lead to greater disparities. It's like watering a garden, but only some plants get the water.
Ah, that's a vivid image. So what are the core principles of liberalism?
Well, individual liberty is key. People should be free to make their own choices. Then there's limited government. The state shouldn't control every aspect of life. Free markets, democracy, rule of law, and human rights are also fundamental.
But sometimes focusing too much on individualism can ignore the community's needs, right?
Exactly, that's one of the criticisms. It's a balancing act between personal freedom and social responsibility.
Yeah. Do you think liberalism adequately addresses social inequalities?
Well, that's where social liberalism tries to fill the gap. But some argue it doesn't go far enough. It's a constant debate.
And that's why understanding its different forms is important.
Absolutely. So, let's talk about some key figures. John Locke, the father of liberalism, believed in natural rights and limited government.
Right.
His ideas laid the groundwork for modern democracy.
Then there's Adam Smith with his economic theories.
Exactly. He promoted free market capitalism in The Wealth of Nations. He laid the groundwork for modern economics.
And John Stuart Mill?
Yes. Mill advocated for individual liberty and also recognized the importance of social justice. He tried to bridge the gap.
Right. What about modern political leaders?
Well, Franklin D. Roosevelt with the New Deal, and Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan promoting neoliberalism. Their policies have had lasting impacts.
It's fascinating how liberalism continues to evolve.
Definitely. It's like an ongoing conversation across generations.
Nice.
Each era adds its own twist.
So in modern politics, how do we see liberalism at play?
Most democratic nations incorporate liberal principles. Political parties might lean towards classical or social liberalism. The debate over free markets versus government intervention is alive and well.
And criticisms of liberalism still persist?
Yes. Some say it focuses too much on individualism, ignoring social inequalities. Others argue that free market policies can lead to corporate dominance.
Yeah.
On the other hand, some believe social liberalism creates dependency on government programs.
It's a complex issue with valid arguments on both sides.
Exactly. That's why understanding the nuances is so important.
Right. So where do we go from here?
Well, as societies evolve, so does liberalism. It's about finding ways to adapt these principles to modern challenges, balancing individual rights with collective well-being.
This has been a really informative discussion.
Yeah, I've enjoyed unpacking this topic. Understanding liberalism helps us make sense of current political debates.
Definitely. Thanks for breaking it down.
My pleasure. It's always great to delve into these ideas and see how they shape our world.
Yeah,